right. How are you guys holding up? We've made it through the first two videos. We're on the third one, and now we're going to get a little bit further into some action here. So we've identified what our ideal self really looks like. What does she do? How does she show up? What does she represent in this world? Who does she stand for? What does she stand for? What does she value, right? So we've identified all of that. And then we kind of stepped into knowing, okay, where am I at right now? We've taken a temperature. We're creating more awareness and acceptance about the fact that we are where we are, and that is all well and good, and that is more than okay, right? So, and then we practice self-compassion. So starting to change that script and change that dialogue from one that is threatening and judgmental and criticizing, to one that is loving and compassionate and kind and encouraging, right? So I'm wondering if some of you maybe watched the video and tried to implement some of that and felt a little bit frustrated or a little bit lost because you've been doing something the other way for probably all of, if not most of your life now. And it's hard to do something different. And so I think part of showing up as our best selves, as our ideal selves, and really stepping into what that looks like can take an adjustment period. So really sticking with that mentality of how can I approach this as an experiment with a curious mind rather than judgmental and degrading. So keeping that in the back of your head at all times. But also recognizing that when we've been practicing or doing something one way for years and years and years, maybe even decades, it's going to take more than like a day or a week to change that. And that is fine. We all move at our own pace. We all have different tendencies. Some people can implement and take on new habits really, really quickly. Awesome. If you're one of those people, more power to you. I am jealous. Other people, it takes a lot of practice, and it takes taking smaller bites, one at a time, and knowing and trusting that ultimately I'm going to get where I want to be. So today we'll talk a little bit about how to implement some of these new practices and new habits. One way that I really like to think about habit building is to make it as easy and as fluid as possible. So if you already have certain habits, which I am certain that you do, a really great way to implement new things is to attach a new habit to an old habit, right? So rather than feeling like you have to craft and build something totally new, building on stuff that you already do all the time. So maybe every morning when you brush your teeth, you repeat to yourself a self-compassionate statement. Or maybe when you drive home from work, you make it a habit of calling a friend twice a week on that drive. So you're not really adding anything super duper stressful that's going to cramp your brain space and make you feel like this is unattainable. So we want to build a habit on a habit. Does that make sense? Does that add up? It allows our brain to help us feel like this is more approachable, this is more doable, and it takes less brain power to remember to do said thing, right? Because I'm not just throwing things in left and right and overwhelming myself and feeling like this is unattainable, unapproachable, and just way too hard. So stepping into our best selves it's going to take some effort, and it's going to take some time, and it's going to take some practice and some trial and error. All good, all to be expected. So I want you to think about what are one or two things that your best self emulates or does that you want to be implementing sooner rather than later. And I want you to think about where are some times in your days that happen regularly where you could implement a practice that would be helpful in getting there, right? So sticking with my example about wanting to be a more warming energy and say hi and be the first person to do something in my office or create some kind of social connection. If I have a habit of every day at 9:30, I go to the kitchen and I make coffee. I might say when I'm in the office in the kitchen, every single day, I'm going to build in a new habit where I say hello or I start a conversation with at least one new person, either on my way to the kitchen, in the kitchen, or on my way back. And so that's a habit that I've already kind of created in my life. And now I'm just adding something small to help me emulate more of that warming energy, right? So now I'm practicing being this best self, being this person who really creates conversation, who creates relationships, who shows up and gives love to more people. And it's not taking all that much effort because it's something I've already done with my day. So if I can add in 2 or 3 more minutes where I'm saying hello or having a conversation, I'm one step ahead of the game. I'm one step further than I was before, which is progress. And even if I don't do it every day, if I do it once or if I do it once a week, it's still better than where I was before. And knowing that I'm going to mess up and I'm going to have days where maybe I can't find anyone or days where I'm so busy that that's not an option. And that's fine. There's no one right answer here. There's no one all fix all. The point is creating intentionality and creating space for you to start evolving and start changing and thinking about, how can I approach this differently? What do I want to see change in my life? How do I want to show up here? And then what are some small little nugget ways that I can do those things? Another way that we can approach this is to set some reminders, right? So if we're in routines and we've been doing something for so long a certain way that we don't want to be doing it anymore, it's going to take a lot of brain power to do it differently. So using technology to our advantage. Can you set a reminder on your computer? Can you set a reminder on your phone? Can you tell a friend and ask them to check in with you about it? So kind of creating the bounce back system so that you're not just like throwing balls at the wall and feeling like you're just losing them, right? So we want to create that sounding board, that backboard, that's a support system for us, where we really feel like this is approachable, this is doable. I can take these bite-sized nuggets and build and build and build until I look around one day and I'm like, damn, I've up-leveled. I am another level of who I want to be in this world, of what my best self looks like. And that feels really good. And I did what I needed to do to get here, and I loved myself the whole way. I didn't torture myself into change. I was kind. I was compassionate. I was loving. And so since I practiced those things for myself, I was able to give that more to other people. And now I'm able to show up as a better person. And can you see how that ripples, right? So really taking the time and the energy to think about, if I accept where I am right now and I stop resisting and I stop fighting and I stop working against myself, what is really possible? How could I really make so much change? And then doing that in our small nugget, bite-sized, approachable ways that also feel exciting, that also light us up and give us purpose and help us feel fulfilled and align with our values so that we can feel good on the day-to-day. Not all the time, though. You're still going to have bad feelings, and I'm never ever saying that you won't or that you should not. But if you can have a clearer sense of self, and if you can show up most of the time as that person that you really want to be, as your ideal self, and you step into that energy more often, how amazing. How incredible. So this last video of this series is really building those habits. Crafting, tweaking, trying, failing, trying again, trying differently, doing something else, adding something more. Building upon habits that we already have, using the resources around us as support systems, whether it's people, whether it's technology, whether it's animals, like whatever it needs to be for you. Setting yourself up for success to really step into this next biggest version of yourself, or get back to that person that you once were, who you really loved being. So I hope this is really helpful for you. And I want to leave you with those steps to kind of start thinking about and taking action and making more momentum for yourself in an encouraging, loving way, because you really can. You are capable of change. You are capable of growth. And you can be kind. It can be a fun, loving, light experience. I hope that this training was helpful for you. And I would love, 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 love to hear from you about what you learned, how you've been implementing, where you're stuck, or anything like that. Feel free to send me an email or connect with me through Instagram, or join our Facebook group. And I will see you and talk to you soon. Have a great, great day, night, evening, morning, wherever you are. Bye.